Hi everybody, thanks for joining me today. So, stitching a little differently than I usually do. As you can see, I've got more of a straight line coming along the side here because that's where the pillar is. So I'm still stitching in a sort of diagonal sloping direction, and I'm still trying not to close stuff in, but I'm kind of working across several diagonals at once to fill this in so that I can move it over and do the pillar in more of a vertical section, or a vertical fashion, I should say. So yeah, so still the same method, but slightly tweaked. As like I've said before, I follow the colors on the pattern instead of strict rules. So I'm still doing stuff that's, you know, above and to the left before doing stuff that's below and to the right, but in a slightly different sort of shape. I adapt to the pattern rather than making it adapt to me. So, yeah. Yeah, I had that on my, one of my previous, patterns. There was a lady's dress that sort of fanned out behind her. And so instead of diagonal across it, I kind of went around the dress and then did the dress at once. So, yeah. Kind of keeps things interesting, I hope. Okay, let's see if I have any little bits. I do. Perfect. Because, yeah, I'm kind of going to do more of that in the pillar, but there is one that's sort of in this bit here, so I could have decided to just sort of end there and carry on down, but sort of trying to snug it up as close to the pillar as I can without doing anything out of order. Oh my goodness. If I could find the right spot. So no AC running today. It's a really nice day. It's like the perfect temperature for me, so yeah, we had a nice cool night because well, where I live it's basically the desert, so the temperature really drops at night even if it was scorching during the day. And as long as it's not humid, which it generally isn't, then yeah, I open the windows at night, let the house cool down, and then close them in the morning. And a lot of times, even on warmer days, I don't have to use my air conditioner that way. Save a little bit on energy bills. Yeah, I like around May and say September. So that's usually like the perfect temperature. I don't have to turn on the heat or the air conditioning. Things stay a nice even temp. Pardon me. Okay. I can see I have 2 threads. Okay. They're both about a medium length, so I'm going to go start at this bit here. Ah, boy, I had to get a few groceries this morning, and gas prices being high, price on everything is going up. I bought 2 loaves of bread, 2 liters of milk, a tub of frozen yogurt, a little container of honey, and and a box of crackers, and it was over 50 bucks. Like, ouch. Wasn't buying anything that expensive. No cheese or meat, but hooey. Yeah, food prices in Canada are a bit more expensive because we have a shorter growing season, and so a lot of our stuff has to be imported. So, oh, I do have a thread there. My gosh, I did that last time too. Went to the trouble of getting a thread when I already have one parked. Boy, I tell ya. Ugh. Okay, let's take a look at that one there is long enough to carry. Okay, so I'm gonna go further over. Let's take a look. Wow, quite a ways. Yeah, as I'm working across several columns at once, it's kind of spreading things out, but that's okay. But yeah, I've got some bigger blocks of color here, so. Oh, look at that. My gosh. It is not my day. Didn't come up in quite the right spot. It was a millimeter off. I find especially with a dark color that's more noticeable, because you'll end up with sort of a blank bit of white where you missed covering the cloth. So yeah, with lighter colors sometimes you can get away with that, but yeah, with the darker colors on a light background you really can't as much. Yeah, we're gonna end up with lots of threads of this one. Okay, so now this one's gonna go up a bit, and I'll probably have to attach a new one part way through. We shall see. Okay. The nice thing about bigger blocks of color is they go faster. So we'll see if I reach I get past the pillar by the end of the month. Probably not. Yeah, might get about halfway through the pillar, I'm thinking. Thinking I'll probably get to the edge of the pattern end of next month would be my guess. That'll be exciting. Oh, is there a knot on the back? That one is a little loose. I don't know why. That would annoy me. So I do have a way of fixing a loose stitch without ripping back, but as this thread hasn't been finished off, easy enough to just do that now. Where are you? Why are you lying like that? I know, I'm too much of a perfectionist sometimes. Oh, that's what happened. They tied themselves in a bit of a knot there. Well, that's weird. Doesn't want to come apart. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do is tie this off. Start a new piece because I don't like that that's loose like that. So I'm going to go back through there. I was close to the end of my thread anyway, so I don't know how that happened. Goodness, I just put my scissors down and then I couldn't find them again. Okay. Okay. Wondering if you guys could see that on camera. Just me being persnickety about it. Again, probably something nobody would have noticed but myself. But then it becomes one of those, it's all I can see. Okay. So I'll have a bit of juggling threads here, but that's all good. Yeah, I was surprised. I looked in the mirror the other day where I got my sunburn is still looking pretty tanned. For me, it usually fades a lot sooner than that, but at least it doesn't hurt anymore. But yeah, guess I burned myself pretty good. Although thankfully I didn't blister because that's the worst. Okay, so what I'm going to do is do that section there. And then I think I'm going to join another thread for those number sign stitches. Because they're kind of in separate sections, so one's going to go along this way and then one's going to go sort of down to the right. Which, if you've watched me before, you probably already guessed I was going to do. Yeah, speaking of stuff being expensive, I bought corn on the cob the other day. It was $1 a piece. Like, geez. Remember, just a couple of years ago, they were 5 for $1. So, yeah, I only bought enough for one meal of it because that was expensive. Yeah, I love corn on the cob. I said I think that was the hardest thing I had to give up when I was when I had braces in high school. Like I was saying, now with those Invisalign ones, you don't have that problem, but this was the old bracket mouth, right? Yeah, you could get pieces of the kernels stuck in those brackets and they were really hard to get out. Or it could even pull the wire out. I had one time the floss got caught and shredded, and then it pulled the wire right out of the bracket, so I had to have an extra visit to the orthodontist for them to fix that. So yeah, it's like they said, well, at least we know you're still flossing. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little piece for this actually. I think that'll work out. Since I happen to have one But yeah, you weren't supposed to eat lemons or limes or ice, chew on ice, and no corn on the cob, no majorly sticky things like taffy, and oh, I made the mistake of eating a hard, uncooked piece of macaroni, and it actually bent one of the bands that they have around the molar. Yeah, I ended up bending it back into place with a spoon. Oh. They actually never noticed when I went for my next appointment, so I guess I must have done a pretty good job of it. Yeah, my best friend's mom at the time, she's like, well, how could soft macaroni bend your braces? I said it wasn't soft, it was uncooked. And I don't know, it's like she couldn't grasp that it was raw, hard, straight out of the bag. It's like chewing on a rock. So yeah, my son likes to eat dry pasta. I'm always telling him, okay, make sure you bite it in the molars, not with the front, because I don't want you breaking your teeth, and just have one, piece, because trust me, you don't want to crack a tooth. That is extremely painful. My husband did that once. Piece of meat that was supposed to be boneless had a bone in it, and it cracked a molar, and yeah, you had to have emergency dental surgery to fix that, to save it. And then we had to go to a wedding like the next day, and we basically we made it through the ceremony, and we ended up having to leave and not staying for the reception because he was just like ready to pass out, so pale. So yeah. Yeah, I remember this was in BC, and they really wanted to have their wedding outside, and it rained that morning. And then it cleared up around like 11. And so yeah, they had everybody out there wiping down chairs and stuff for the guests, although most of us stood. And yeah, so they got to have their wedding outside, and like there was like sort of a brief interval of non-rain. They had it then. But yeah, in the lower mainland of BC, it rains a lot, sort of like above Seattle. And if you're from Seattle, yeah, it rains. There was a joke, I saw bumper stickers that said the Seattle Rain Festival, January 1st to December 31st, because yeah, it rains a lot. Makes things nice and green, but can be depressing sometimes. Although I have people say, well, at least you don't have to shovel rain like you do with snow. Yeah, I love the colors on these hedges. They're very pretty. Yeah, I got like, again, over 500 stitches done yesterday, so that was nice. That is one thing I wish Pattern Keeper did. It was keep a record. Like it keeps a running tally of your stitches done that day and then the total number of stitches you've done overall. But yeah, it would be nice if it kept sort of a little log of how much you've done. Apparently, Markup XRP, I think it's called, which is for the Apple devices, does. I have to remember to write it down each day and input it into my own Excel spreadsheet. That way I kind of know when I can expect to be finished if I manage to keep on sort of the same average number stitches. I know some people don't bother keeping track at all. They say that would wreck the fun, which, yeah, I get that. And of course, for some people, it was easier back in the, if they do like by big square of 100, then it's easier to keep track of where you are. When I used to stitch, cross country and on paper, I would have spent so much time counting stitches that wouldn't have been fun. At least the app here does it for you. So yeah, when I first got Pattern Keeper, I was still stitching cross country by page. Although I turned the pages off, so I just go by whatever section fit comfortably in my Q-snap frame. And then I'd sort of start with the one that had the most stitches of that color in the page, so that it gave me sort of a landmarks to work from. And then yeah, that's how I did that. But now I stitch this way, and I do love the no miss stitches to fill in at the end, even if it does mean juggling more threads and needles. I got used to it. Yeah, musical threads here. Does anyone still play musical chairs? I won that one time at a birthday party. Oh my gosh. Pardon me. So yeah, just sort of going back, working my way over and over again until I'm all filled in. Yeah, I'm gonna end up with a lot of threads of this one, I can tell. That is okay. I've actually had enough energy to work just on my main piece the last while. I haven't done any work on the background of Firefly. 'Cause, yeah, I save that for when I'm tired. Oh yeah, and I'm having to finish up a sweater that I started for my mother-in-law and has been languishing for quite a while. Finally on the last sleeve, so yeah, because we're planning to see them. So I really should get it done so I can give it to her, because oh geez, she gave me the yarn to make it like before the pandemic. So yeah, it's been a while. In fact, at some point I asked her a question of how she wanted it customized. She said, oh, I forgot about it. So maybe she's forgotten again. It'll be a nice surprise for her. Because yeah, I made this shirt where I had a collar and it worked into like some ties to hang down, and then I was asking her if she wanted ties on hers or just a regular collar. So yeah, it's in ribbing, knit 2, purl 2, so that also takes a little longer. Every time I make a sweater like that, I swear myself never again, because ribbing is so tedious. But then I end up making it again because I like the look of it. Although I like cable knits too. Those are a little more interesting. Yeah, like I designed one I made with cables on the bodice, and then it turned into ribs that kind of got a little wider for some, to make it sort of like an A-line coming out from the waist. So yeah, I was really happy with how that one turned out. That was one I basically designed myself. Okay, just making sure I'm in the right spot. Yes, I am. That's one thing when I'm working sort of across several columns at once. Especially when a lot of the colors are very similar here. Gotta be careful not to get confused. Okay, let's see. All right, so I can see I have one going one way and one going the other way. Just double check the length. Yeah, okay. Oh, did I park that wrong? Oh yeah, look at that. I parked that in the gray. I parked this one way down here. I don't know why I did that. Yeah, that's the one it should be. Oh, weird. Or did I already? Oh, I did it. And I parked it incorrectly. My gosh, doing. And I still parked it wrong again. I swear I do know what I'm doing most of the time. At least when it comes to stitching. Oh my gosh. Well, you wouldn't be able to tell by watching me. Okay, let's start another, that color. Oh, have I done it again? Yes, my gosh. I don't know why I parked that one up there. That's not where it belongs. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it should be parked right here. Oh, which means I also parked this one wrong. I tell you, my gosh, today is not my day. But it should be down one. Unless, nope, wait a minute. I think I did get that right. Okay, yes, that time it was correct. Okay, don't correct it when it's actually correct. Oh, I tell you. Good thing for grid lines. I would be lost. Oh, that's what I did. Oh. So it was parked correctly, I just didn't do it. Oh my gosh. Yep. Oh my goodness. So I corrected something that was actually correct. That's okay. I think I have it now, but I wouldn't bet my life on it. Okay. Okay, now I have it correct. Yes, because 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, let's try this one more time. Yeah. Yeah, I swear I do know how to follow a pattern. Soon I'll be into some bigger blocks where my brain can take a little break. Yeah, I just one did not want to come out with the needle still on. Yeah, because it was a nice hot day yesterday. Finally gave the guinea pig a bath, a full bath. Usually she just gets a bottom bath in the sink because they're from a warmer climate, so you have to be careful that they don't catch a chill. So yeah, and you don't want to bathe them too often or their skin dries out too. So yeah, she had a nice full bath, and then she got to sit in the sun and gorge herself on a clover and dandelion. She was a happy camper. Yeah, she didn't even squeak for her afternoon/evening veggies because she was full. Okay, so I don't normally cross as I go, but this time I'm going to because I want the thread to end up on the opposite side. Crossing as you go does take up a bit more thread too, so there's also that reason that I don't like to do it. But some people prefer it for the neatness, or also if you're using a multicolored strand, it can look really weird if you do the bottom legs and then the top ones. So crossing as you go gives it more of that rainbow effect. But again, it's all just a matter of personal preference. You do you. I got a lot of needles, but still managing to stay untangled, knock on wood. Now, pretty soon I'll have these either finished off or parked out of this section, and then I can have fewer to deal with. Yeah, so sometimes I kind of break the color up a bit just to keep in with that not closing stuff in. Yeah, it's funny, I was talking about giving the guinea pig a bath. The first time I did, she was not happy. She kept trying to climb up my arm out of the tub. But now she actually, she sits in there quite peacefully because she understands now she's not going to be in there forever. It's just a quick bath, and then she gets to be pampered and sit in the sun. And then when you're drying her off, she'll popcorn all over the place. That's when they jump because they're happy. Yeah. And shake like a dog to get the water off her. I was at the pet store the other day to get her some more food. We saw what's called a skinny pig, where they're like more wiry fur. Yeah. That little guy, I think, wanted to come home with us. He was all up against the glass looking at my son and squeaking. Yeah, they have, wiry, less fur, and it's more wiry. The full skinny pigs have no hair. My old boss, his daughters had some, and he said, yeah, they're all slimy. Yeah. And his daughter says, yeah, but they look like little hippos. And that's what my sister-in-law said. They call them teacup hippos because, yeah, they're just teeny little. Apparently they were bred, they're kind of like a Sphinx cat. They don't have any fur. So apparently you have to like oil them and stuff so they don't dry out. Yeah, ours is the opposite. We have a super fluffy piggy. She's got cowlicks. She's so fluffy. My sister-in-law, actually, she had one that we called the dust mop because that is exactly what he looked like. You couldn't see his eyes almost. His fur was so long, just sort of, if he lay down, it would spread out around him. So yeah, he did. He totally looked like a dust mop. And so yeah, as a joke, because ours is called Miss Buster, my brother-in-law said he was Mr. Buster since he was also so fluffy. Yeah, we had them set up with a cage that shared a wall so they could talk to each other. Because yeah, we didn't want to be having any guinea pig babies because yeah, they breed like rabbits. So. Okay, another one I can be done with. So yeah, we're getting sort of more of a straight line instead of a diagonal line. But that's just because that's what the pattern is doing. So, oh my gosh. This way I don't have to have quite as many needles on threads than if I'm going across where there's lots of sort of vertical runs of color. Although I still have quite a few needles on threads, so. Okay, and another one done. Good, and then this, I will be able to also be done with this. Oh, yeah, I think this one I'm not going to park. I'm just going to do these 2 stitches and then be done with it. Well, I said bigger blocks of color, but then kind of hasn't turned out that way. Okay, another thread that will be ended. Okay, and another one done. Okay, so back over to the left again. And repeat. Work our way out. Yeah, I'm thinking this will also be ended off at this point. Yeah. Well, we were closing in on 100 for this session. Woohoo. Yeah, I always try to get at least 100 done with y'all. Usually get past that, which is nice. Okay, 3799. Short little bit. That will work out perfect. Yeah, I have found that my finishing, when I'm doing on 18 count to draw the needle along the back without turning my work, it's been a bit harder. So I guess I'm going to need some more practice of that. But I learned to do it on this count, so I'm sure I'll be able to learn to do it on the other as well. Because, yeah, sometimes pin stitches just are not practical in a certain area for whatever reason. Sometimes it's because it's a dark color and where you're going to pin stitch is going to be a light color. You don't want it to show through, or it's near the edge and you don't want the end sticking through. You want to sort of make sure it's towards the center. So, yeah, for whatever reason, use a combination of techniques. All right, now I get to do a whole bunch in a row. So yeah, often I work sort of from the outside in. Sometimes it just makes sense to work from the inside out. As long as I'm sort of always along that edge, not closing stuff in, I'm happy. Or of course I don't want to pin stitch past the edges of the design either, because again, it won't get stitched over, and although it's fairly invisible, it's not completely invisible. Don't want it to look kind of like a ragged edge and unfinished like that. So I made that mistake on one full coverage piece I did. I didn't think about the ends poking past the edges, and it was some dark colors on, and I stitch on white fabric. So yeah, I had to go and either weave them all back towards the center or trim them really, really close so that they wouldn't show. So yeah, now I just try to avoid that completely by doing it towards the center of the design in the first place. Rather do it that way the first time than have to fix it later. Ounce of prevention and all that. Oh yeah, that did a nice bunch at once. I love when the thread sort of runs out right when you were about to end it anyway. It's just long enough. Then nothing is wasted. Oh, unthreaded my needle. Silly me. Enough for one stitch there, and I'll use a different thread for the rest of that. I'm leaving it threaded, although probably it'll come free anyway, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, a few here on my magnet that are from ones that got unthreaded and the needle stayed behind. There. Tidy it up a little bit. Okay. whole whack at once. Yeah, mentioned that I played musical instruments. I was curious to see if my son would be into it too. And he did take band for, let's see, I think 4 years? But yeah, it's not really his thing. He liked going on the band trips more than anything else. I said he was lucky too, because the last year he was in band was like the week before we went into lockdown in 2020. So yeah, I said he would have stayed in the whole year, and getting him to practice was like pulling teeth with tweezers. So after that, I just said, yeah, pick something else, because I said, we'll go on day trips to the big city. You know, you don't have to do band for that. And you gotta pay to rent the instrument, and yeah. And getting him to practice, and sort of, they would have you practice a certain amount a week, and he would sort of count how many days he had to do it to make 20 minutes a day to make up to it, and he'd push it off till the end of the month. I said, well, no, do it at the beginning of the month, then you're done. And then he did that once, and he got sick, and then he couldn't finish his practice, so he missed out on the mark. And I said, see, that's why you do it earlier. That way, if something unexpected comes up, you've given yourself some wiggle room. If you push it off until the end, yeah, if something comes up, then you have no wiggle room. So yeah, he played the baritone for a while, which was also called the euphonium. It's like a mini tuba. So yeah. But yeah, I guess it's not for him. He takes more after his dad, building things and fixing things, figuring out how they work, taking things apart. Yeah, that was what some friends of mine did. They were having sort of a leaner year. So for Christmas, they went to the thrift store and bought a bunch of old VCRs and things. Gave their kids some screwdrivers and said, okay, well, you can take them apart, see how they work. Their boys were, yeah, quite happy with that, so. Okay, that'll bring my count up quite a bit. Yeah, my sister and I even tried to form a band a couple times. I was learning guitar for a little while, and she did bass for quite a while. Yeah, we did a lot of music. She also did violin. We both did piano. I did flute. But yeah, if you want to make a career of it, it is a lot of work. A lot of practice. Okay. And I'm just blowing through this color. You can still see I've got over 7,000 of this symbol left, so yeah. 823, very common color. Okay, so that's one past the grid line there. I'm just kind of going all over the place, wherever I feel like it. Yeah, we've now got a lot of our needles back, so. Right. Might do a bit over here now. Okay, oh, yeah, speaking of which, I need a new thread of that color. Yeah, I remember doing projects before before I did full coverage, little pieces, and it was like, if you needed 2 skins of something, that was a lot. Now it's like when I'm kitting something up, it's like, okay, I need 32 skins of this. Ended up ordering it from Hirschner's because they, that way they give you big boxes of 12 and they're all the same dye lot, so you don't have to worry about any potential matching dye lot issues, because yeah, you don't want that. I've seen some poor people or their projects just, they ended up with a line right through because of the dye lot change. It was just heartbreaking after all that work. You really hate to see that happen. Yeah, I find it depends on what I'm knitting, but I can kind of get away with dye lot issues a little more because, like, if you're making a sweater, you can save the one that's slightly different from, like, your collar or your cuffs and your hems and that sort of thing. Sometimes, anyway. But yeah, with cross-stitching, especially when there's big blocks of it, it's a lot harder to hide. What some people do is if you're using multiple strands, you use, like say if you had 2 strands, you use 1 strand from the old and 1 strand from the new, and that gives you more of a seamless blend. Oh, you know what? This might not be enough to do those stitches I've highlighted. We shall see. Yeah, this might, in fact, I think what it's going to do is instead clear this and do that one and these 2 up here. And I think that'll be it. Let's see after I do them if I can squeak 2 more out or not. I don't think so. Nope, that's not going to happen. That didn't catch. Try that again. There we go. Now it did. There. And out to that edge again. Nice. Another thread is done. There we go. Didn't want to release there. Didn't have the needle close enough to the end of the thread. Okay. All right, so you got to see me stitch a little differently today. Like I said, across several diagonals at once, because that's sort of just the way the colors are. And then leaving kind of a straighter edge here, because that's just the way those colors are going to go for that part of the pattern. So yeah, kind of adapt my method to whatever, like I've said before, makes sense to me at the time, and that's what makes sense to me right now. So that is what I did. All right, so as usual, thank you so much for joining me today. I really enjoyed hanging out with you, and I hope you enjoyed it too. And I hope to see you here again another time. All right, thanks everyone. Bye.